Emanuela Palmares, qual a importância de momentos como este para o desenvolvimento, para o crescimento, para o fortalecimento da comunidade imigrante?
Olha, eu acho que tudo começa com diálogo, né? A gente começou a série em parceria com vocês, a gente tem o diálogo entre o prefeito, o chefe de polícia, o vice-superintendente das escolas, e muitas das respostas do primeiro diálogo é uma questão federal. Essas batidas, a maneira que as batidas do ICE têm mudado a imigração é uma questão federal. Então a gente conseguiu um tempo com o nosso senador federal para ele nos ajudar então a definir essas mudanças nessas políticas em como lidam com a imigração, e dá para a gente também um parecer de como que ele vai começar então também construir pontes com as outras pessoas do partido ao contrário dele, porque o senador Blumenthal é um democrata, como que ele vai construir pontes também com os republicanos para que essas coisas podem ser mudadas, né? Que na verdade o que a gente quer é compreensão. Quanto mais a gente dialogar, quanto mais a gente ter mais palestras sobre o assunto, numa maneira macro e micro, a gente vai conseguir ter uma qualidade de vida melhor e entender mais a situação que está por vir aí.
Welcome to the second part of our series, of our community dialogue series that Tribuna has been hosting. The first one happened last month. We had a panel discussion with Denver Mayor Mark Bowden, Denver Police Chief Patrick Blumenthal, and we also had on our panel Dr. Bill Glass, our Superintendent of Public Schools. They all talked about the immediate action that happened regarding immigration in Denver a few months ago, and we felt the urgency to create a space where the community could have a dialogue. Not so much a forum that's open doors and we're come in, but really an intimate conversation with some key stakeholders to be able to ask them questions and have a conversation. So a lot of the responses that we got on the first conversation, the first dialogue, pointed to the federal government. It was a constant, it's a federal issue, it's a federal chain, it's a federal government thing. So as soon as we finished the other event, we started planning this one and working with Senator Blumenthal's office, and there he is, working with Senator Blumenthal's office to be able to have him here and have a dialogue with us from this federal view on this issue and many other topics. So before I introduce our senator, I'd like to ask for Pastor Jackson Marino to come up and just do a prayer for us. We are in his house and we thank you so much for hosting us here this afternoon after your busiest day of the week.
Good afternoon. I will pray in Portuguese. Just going to translate. Pouco antes.
So I just want to say a few words.
Pouco mais cedo hoje, os nossos músicos não estavam aqui.
So a few hours ago, our musicians were not here.
Não, eles eram supostos estar aqui no começo
They're
dessa reunião.
supposed to be here playing for you all in the beginning of this meeting.
Eu pensei em cantar,
Then I thought about singing,
mas eu sou péssimo.
but then I thought you all would leave because I'm really bad.
Depois eu fui no espelho do banheiro
Then I went to the bathroom and looked in the mirror
e contei 3 piadas.
and I told 3 jokes to
Eu não
myself.
ri de nenhuma delas.
I didn't laugh a single time.
Então eu vou orar mesmo, que é o que eu sei fazer.
So I'm just going to pray because that's all I know how to
Vamos ficar de pé?
do. Let us stand.
Senhor Jesus,
Dear Lord,
obrigado pela tua presença.
thank you for your presence.
Obrigado por cada pessoa.
Thank you for each person that's here.
Sem sombra de dúvida,
Without a shadow of a doubt,
uma das forças do Evangelho
one of the strengths of the gospel,
é quando a comunidade se une,
it's when a community comes together,
mesmo tendo suas diferenças,
even amongst its differences,
para conquistarem algo bom para as pessoas.
to achieve a greater good for all.
Portanto, nós abençoamos essa reunião
Therefore, we bless this meeting
e abençoamos cada pessoa que está aqui.
and bless each person that's here today.
Em nome do Pai,
In the name of the Father,
do Filho
the Son,
e do Espírito
and the
Santo.
Holy Ghost.
Amém.
Amen. So, for those who do not know me, I am Emanuela Palmares, and I am the editor of the Tribuna newspaper, and I'm also the vice president of the New American Dream Foundation. The New American Dream Foundation is a nonprofit organization that was founded by my family. And our goal is to help the immigrant community in very different ways. In one way, we actually raise money, and we give out 3 scholarships to immigrant students at $2,000 every year. We also give out a $2,000 award to a Person of the Year, an immigrant who does not have an academic goal, who has gone through incredible challenges in order for them to achieve their American dream, and as well as a veteran, someone who is of the immigrant community, who laid down their life for us before becoming an American citizen. In the process of creating that event, this foundation was born. On the long term, what we want to do is to help the community self-fund some of these scholarships, and not only that, for us to be able to be a source of funding for any program that helps specifically the immigrant community. So if you'd like to know more about the New American Dream Foundation, there's some information here in the foyer near where the water is, and some other information about the church. If you'd like to nominate someone in the community, someone that you know that has an incredible story that you'd like to honor, feel free to nominate them. If you want to nominate yourself, we're really big on about self-empowerment. There's nothing wrong with telling your story and being proud of it. You can also do that. And if you want to make a donation, you can go on our website and help us fund some of these scholarships. To date, we've given out $60,000 in scholarships in the last 4 years here in our community. This year, ticket sales, instead of going towards a fund we created at Emory Hospital, the fund is for uninsured patients. Instead of going towards that fund, it's actually going towards funding a day of healthcare, free healthcare here in our community, where people are going to be able to go to Westland Community Center and have access to doctors, no questions asked, free of charge for 1 day. So if you'd like to help us in those efforts, please look for some more information in the back. Now I'd like to introduce our very special guest for today. Senador Blumenthal was originally sworn in January 5th of 2011. He is serving his 2nd term as United States Senator from the state of Connecticut. Senator Blumenthal served an unprecedented 5 terms as Connecticut's Attorney General, fighting for people against large, powerful special interests. His aggressive law enforcement for consumer protection, environmental stewardship, labor rights, personal privacy has helped reshape the role of state attorneys generals nationwide and resulted in the recovery of hundreds of millions of dollars for Connecticut taxpayers and consumers each year. A key player in the national fight against big tobacco, he helped bring the end to deceptive marketing aimed at children. A victory significantly lowering the youth smoking rates and compounding a multi-billion-dollar settlement for Connecticut state taxpayers. He also helped lead a coalition of 50 states that accumulated historic agreements with social networking sites to better protect our children from predators on the internet. As Attorney General, he advocated for reforms in the health insurance industry to ensure critical healthcare coverage and lower pharmaceutical drug prices. He has worked relentlessly to eradicate corruption in the state government and make state contracting accountable, fair, honest, and transparent. But one of the things, Senator, that was not on your bio, on your website, I added it as an editor, put in my 2 cents. From 2004 to the end of his tenure as Connecticut's Attorney General, Senator Blumenthal penned a column for the Tribune called Ask the Attorney General that led to dozens of consumer protection cases against businesses who had targeted immigrants with their predatory practices. From 1977 to 1981, Senator Blumenthal served as a U.S. Attorney for Connecticut, prosecuting drug trafficking, organized and white-collar crime, civil rights violations, consumer fraud, and environmental pollution. He served in the Connecticut House of Representatives, my dream job, from 1984 to 1987, and the Connecticut State Senate from 1987 to 1990. As a volunteer attorney for the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, Senator Blumenthal saved the life of an innocent, wrongly convicted death row inmate who came within hours of execution. Prior to this position as U.S. Attorney, Senator Blumenthal also served as administrative assistant to the U.S. Senator Abraham Blumenthal, aide to former Senator Daniel P. Moynihan, when Moynihan was assistant to the President of the United States, and a law clerk to the Supreme Court. Senator Blumenthal graduated from Harvard College, Yale Law School, where he was editor-in-chief of the Yale Law Journal. From 1970 to 1976, he served as United States Marine Corps Reserves and honorably discharged from the rank of sergeant. Senator Blumenthal lives in Connecticut with his wife Cynthia and their 4 children. Please help me welcome Senator Blumenthal.
Thank you, and thank you to Emmanuel Church for having us, to the pastor for welcoming us, and Manuela and all of your family and the Tribuna for making this very special occasion possible. I want to talk just very briefly and then answer your questions if that's okay. I am always inspired to be back in Connecticut. I come back every weekend from Washington, D.C., where I represent the state of Connecticut, the United States Senate. It has been a tough 100 days since the beginning of this administration, but it also has been a tough 6 years because my goal is to get more things done for Connecticut, create jobs, drive economic progress, but also achieve progress in a number of important areas. And I want to mention them, not necessarily in order of priority, but they're all important. Number one, immigration reform. I have led the effort to provide a path to earn citizenship for the 11 million people who live in the shadows in this country, who are undocumented, who have children who have been born here, who are working hard, paying taxes. There is no way this country will deport them, all of them. We have to find a way to reform our system, which is broken now, and provide them with a legal status and a path to earn citizenship, as well as increasing numbers of H-1B visas, border security, other profoundly important aspects of our system that currently need to be repaired. And one of my great frustrations in the United States Senate occurred just 3 years ago when we came very close to immigration reform. A bill, by no means perfect, I helped to write it, passed by the Senate overwhelmingly, bipartisan majority, but it was never brought to a vote in the House. And so I'm hoping that we can go back to that work and have bipartisan work together. But in the meantime, as you all know, we face a real threat. And I am fighting the forces that would want to build a wall, which I consider an extravagant waste of funding, executive orders that are unconstitutional, struck down twice by our courts with good reason. The threats to detain mass numbers and deport them without adequate due process. Tear apart families by deporting parents of children who were born here, or deporting parts of families, and other measures that I consider really a betrayal of our values. And my father came to this country in 1935. He was himself a refugee. He came here at age 17, alone, to escape persecution in Europe, in Germany. He came here without much more than a shirt on his back. He spoke no English, and he knew almost no one. And this country gave him the chance to succeed. And I've thought of how much my father loved this country, becoming a citizen, and raising my brother and me to feel we have an obligation to give back to a country that gave him the chance to succeed. But also how sad and ashamed he would be of these executive orders, which deny people fundamental rights and abridge our values and our Constitution. So I'm going to keep fighting to make sure that we stay true to the Constitution and stay true to the American values that Connecticut cherishes, and our whole country does. Number two, on culture. actually, Washington, just this week, there's an effort to repeal the Affordable Care Act. I begin with the premise that health care is a right. It is a right, in fact, legally in a number of other industrial countries, but not in this one. And I support the Affordable Care Act. Again, not perfect. It can be improved. It has problems, defects. So have every major piece of legislation that the Congress has passed. Social Security, Medicare, they all had to be fixed in some way. So does this one, but not simply destroyed. And the plan that was submitted in the first go-around, just a couple of weeks ago, was immensely destructive. It would have deprived 24 million people of insurance. It would have undermined essential medical benefits that insurance companies are required to provide to people who are insured privately. It would have raised premiums, the prices we pay for coverage, and it would have denied insurance to many people. It was not a solution, it was a talking point, and an enormously destructive one. The outlines of the most recent plan, if anything, made that bad proposal even worse, because it would undermine protection for people who suffer from so-called pre-existing conditions, and it would again raise premium prices for many people and deprive many, many millions of people, including more than 50,000 people right here in Connecticut, of adequate health care. So I will continue to oppose this new proposal, which I think still is not on paper so far as I know, and I hope that they will reconsider and actually try to work with Democrats. Try to come up with those improvements that we can all agree are necessary without repealing the Affordable Care Act. Because health care is a right, and particularly preventive health care for children, mental health care for people who may otherwise commit crimes or violence. And speaking of violence, I'm going to continue to work for gun violence prevention, not far from here, just miles away. The San Diego community went through one of the most horrific experiences of our lifetime. And I will never forget being there on that afternoon. I will never forget the strength and courage and grief of that community and all of us who were there that day, that evening, at the church, and the days afterward, at the calling hours and the funerals, and then in the years since, fighting for gun violence prevention, common sense measures, background checks, ban on terrorists buying guns, people on the no-fly list, no fly, no buy, a ban on assault weapons, which was the means that that horrible massacre was committed. These kinds of common sense measures are supported by more than 90% of the American people, in fact, the majority of gun owners. But the gun lobby, led by the NRA, still has prevented common sense, sensible measures from passing. I'm going to continue to fight for them. Even though the odds are long during this session, I think we can make a difference. And I think we can make a difference also on building and rebuilding our roads and bridges, ports, airports, broadband, rails, all of it known collectively as infrastructure. There's a bipartisan consensus to be achieved there. This country has to renew our infrastructure for the sake of our economy and jobs, but also for the sake of future generations. We are failing to renew America. Every generation before us has left the country better. And we need to make sure, and I will say this finally because it is his birthday yesterday, Climate change is real. Our air and water need to be protected. Our environment has to be preserved. Open space, Long Island Sound. We know in Connecticut how important this cause is. And it's not alternative fact. It's not climate denial. It's real fact. Real something that tells us that we are going to lose the planet if we fail to act. And the Trump administration's budget, which will cut 30% from the EPA and undermine enforcement, $6 billion from the NIH, which does cancer research, Alzheimer's, heart disease, making us healthier, undercut NOAA and other scientific agencies. This kind of science has to be supported, not decimated. And I support a strong America, national defense, but not at the expense of education, diplomatic corps, the State Department, the kinds of resources that are essential to our national security, as important to our national security as our military. As General Mattis, Secretary of Defense, said, if you cut the State Department, you're just going to have to spend more on bullets. And at the end of every conflict, someone has to make the peace, and hopefully keep the peace before we enter conflict, which is what the State Department does. So our national security is measured in more than just the number of tanks, or planes, or drones, or men and women in uniform. And two of my sons have served, one in the Marine Corps Reserve in Afghanistan, the other is currently serving as a naval officer. And so I know the importance, and I'm on the Armed Services Committee, as well as Veterans Affairs, the importance of our military men and women and our veterans. We have to keep faith with our veterans. That is one of the costs of war, to make sure they get skill training, education, and health care, and mental health that they deserve for the invisible wounds of war, like post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injury. A lot of challenges, but even in the face of the crisis that we see in this country, a lot of energy and involvement. You're being here today as a scientist. As I go around the state, and I've had town halls, 5 of them all around the state, there is unprecedented engagement and energy, which is inspiring, and it's energizing to me. So I want to thank you for being here today again. My thanks to Tribuna for its work in informing the community. Today is just one example of it. And to all of you, again, for demonstrating your interest on a beautiful Sunday afternoon when you can be doing a lot of things outdoors or other things indoors. And thank you for showing how engaged you are in these issues of tremendous public concern. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you.
So now, Senator, the way we do this is everyone gets to introduce themselves to you, because now you get to introduce yourself to all of them. I want you to make 50 new friends today. So we're going to pass the microphone. Everyone's going to state their name, where they're from, and why they're here. And then after we do that, then we're going to open our question and answer period, okay? So you don't need to ask your question at this time. Save your question. Ask your question when we open answer and period. But right now, just introduce yourself and say where you're from. Pedir para as pessoas agora só se apresentarem, falar seu nome, de onde você veio, por que você está aqui. Cada pessoa vai ter um segundo agora para fazer isso e depois a gente vai começar um período de pergunta e resposta. Tá bom? Tenemos que hablar español, necesita de traducción en español. Alguém precisa de tradução em português que pergunta ou para tradução? Ok. So,
thank you, Senator, for coming this afternoon. My name is Joseph Coco. I'm an immigration attorney here in Danbury for 28 years. I live in Danbury. And I'm here because we've seen in Hartford a huge backlog of processing cases with what I consider to be bogus reasons. Supervisory review, background checks that are taking 6 to 8 years. And as you know, they're sending our judges to the border. And right now I have green card adjudication with the judges, which are out 2 years because they expect to be on the border for the next year to year and a half. So I have a concern about the delay of the process for my clients. Thank you.
And thank you. Judy Coco, I'm the better half, the prettier half, I guess. Very active in the Danbury area, board president of the Family Learning Center, and I'm just here to learn about more of the challenges that our city faces.
Good afternoon, and thank you for being here too, Senator. I'm Ann Mead from Danbury Public Schools, and I'm very, very concerned about the direction in which our education system may be going, particularly around early childhood.
Hi, Senator. My name is Simbu Bart. I'm a recent graduate of Fordham University, or a couple of friends who invited me here, and I'm here to learn more about what's going on down in Washington and to hear your perspective and some of the challenges.
Hello, Senator. I'm Isabella Coelho. I'm a senior at Fordham University, political science, Spanish double major. My passion is immigration policy. So I'm just here to learn about what you have to say and any of the developments that are happening in the state of Connecticut and federally. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Pedro Coelho. As you can see, my daughter right here, same face, right? I'm here to learn from you what we can do as a community to help our illegal immigrants that are being threatened all over the United States. I live in New York. I have 2 businesses in Danbury, which is a bakery, and I'm being 4. Anything you need from me, so come to me, because I'll be right behind you pushing your shoes too.
Hello, Senator. My name is Diane Carvalho. I'm a State Farm Insurance agent in town. I've been in the country for 14 years. Proud to be American. Proud to be an immigrant too. And I'm active with the community, and I'm here to learn a little bit more about what's going on with the immigration reform and how people should be or shouldn't be warded at this time.
So hi, my name is Carmen Range. I'm from Residents in Connecticut. It's a social media group with over 8,000 women, Brazilian women from here, from Connecticut, live in here. And I'm a little bit concerned, and I'm here to learn about and learn what can I do for help my community. Thank you.
Hi, Senator. My name is Sergio, and my wife is Josiana. We both are journalists. We are here in Denver right now, and we are broadcasting this meeting all over the world. We have many followers, and people are very concerned about everything that you have to say for us. So thank you for coming.
Hi, Senator. I'm Tatiana Rayner. I'm from Denver Public School and also pastor of Emmanuel Church, and I'm here to learn more about immigration and what we can do to help the community.
Hello, Senator. My name is Marjorie Vargas Fernandez, and I work for the Denver Public Schools as a lunch coordinator. And I'm here just to learn a little bit more about the community and how we can support our children, kids that are going to school, and the parents and families, and how we can give them a safe place to come and just learn and be able to be a little bit more open-minded about what we can do to help the community. So I'm here just to learn about everything that you can offer us and the tribunal can offer us. Thank you.
So my name is Robert Stevenson. I'm the pastor of Central Christian Church here in Danbury, and I'm also on the board of the Association of Religious Communities in Danbury. I'm here because I'm very concerned about a lot, and I want to know what I can do.
Hi, Senator. My name is Caroline. I'm an undocumented immigrant from Brazil and live in Brooklyn now. And I'm a leader with Connecticut Students Imagery, an organization that wants to the rights of undocumented students in the state.
Hi, Senador. I'm Ana. I'm from Brookfield. I'm Carolina's mother. begin here to learn about how can help my community. Thank you.
Hi, Senator. My name is Catherine Tucker. I live here in Danbury. I'm the coordinator of the Parent Leadership Training Institute here in Danbury. I'm here because I know that there are a tremendous number of people in our community, myself included, who are very concerned about the new administration and policies and executive orders that are coming down. And so I'm here to learn more about what you're doing to resist and how we might also partner with you.
Hi, Senator Blumenthal and Emanuela. Thank you for coming. I'm here because I'm concerned that there's a lot of budget cuts to the early childhood programs and to the family resource centers. And there's programs for the families, for children. And I just want to see how that's going to come out for our families that need a lot of these programs.
My name is Elizabeth Silva. I'm a sophomore at Central Magnet High School in Bridgeport, and I'm here to learn more about the issues facing our community.
My name is Silva Gonzalez. I'm very concerned about immigration and also education. I always try to learn how it works so I can pass along to my peers.
Good afternoon, Senator, and everyone else here. I am a Mexican immigrant and also a member of this community. And today I'm here because I am very concerned of what's going on, and it's really, really sad to see our community being afraid and not even wanting to go to work or to go to school to bring their kids. So I'm just to gather information and try to help the community on how to do the things that we need to do.
I'm Ann Saltis, and I'm here just to hear more of your opinions.
Hi, Senator. My name is Tracy Kelly. I represent Prospect Charter School. We're looking to bring a charter school to Danbury. I live in Danbury and was really just wanting to hear your stance on how we can make history in Danbury. Currently under state approval, seeking state approval to bring the first K-12 Ivy League public charter school to the state. Thank you.
Hi, Senator. Thank you for being here today. My name is Rachel Shaleski. I'm a Danbury resident. I have 2 children in the Danbury public schools. I'm an advocate for fair funding of education. You know, our school system is sorely underfunded at the moment. And we're seeing a great influx of students come into our schools. I'm also an advocate for more choice in Danbury, specifically through the Danbury Prospect Charter School.
Hi, Senator. My name is Tara Martin-Holpe. I'm one of the founders and leaders for Action Together Connecticut. I am here because I'm deeply concerned about the direction of our nation and our state, and that's what I'm doing.
Hi, good afternoon, Senator, and I want to thank all of the hosts today for bringing us all together and giving us an opportunity to have this conversation. I am the mother of 4 children, ages 17 to 28, and like all of my neighbors here, I'm interested in all the topics that we address, but I really am interested in education, post and secondary education, and certainly the student loan epidemic. I'm very interested in the economy and I want to hear more about what you're doing to help these things along. Thank you for coming.
Hi, Senator. My name is Silvani da Silva. I'm a pastor of the Brazilian Assembly of God. I'm here for 18 years, and also I'm president of the Pastors Council, Brazilian Pastors in Denver. Thank you.
Thank you, Manuela. Thank you, Senator. My name is Elia da Silva, and I am an organization.
Hi, my name is Newton. I'm a business owner in Denver, but I'm very Hartford, and I'm married. I'm concerned about business and the economy, and immigration too. All my part of my business, like immigration and immigrants, in general. Thank you.
Hello, Senator. Thank you for being here today. My name is Sharon Neal. I am a business major at UConn University, and I am here today because I want to learn a little bit more
immigration and the economy that we face today, and with the new government that we have in place, how everything is going to be moving forward in the future. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Giovanna Quello, and I'm a freshman at Milford High School, and I'm here to learn more about the discussion, the topics that you're going to be talking about today.
Good afternoon. My name is Javed. I'm from Brazil. I have a base here in Brazil. That's all.
Hi, my name is Marco. I'm from Brazil. No, I don't speak English. Eu estou aqui também para escolher a América para dar futuro melhor para a minha família, uma segurança
I chose
também.
this country to give my family a better future.
Porque no Brasil lá eu trabalhava muito tempo na empresa e ali estava ficando muito difícil, muita violência.
Life in Brazil is very hard, riddled with a lot of violence.
Eu já tinha um sonho desde quando era rapaz já para vir para a América e hoje eu trouxe minha família para dar um conforto melhor para eles.
I dreamed of coming to this country since I was a small boy, and I was able to now bring my family to give them a chance to have a more comfortable life.
Hi, my name is Vanessa. I am from Brazil.
Boa tarde a todos.
Good afternoon.
Meu nome é Ostário Valério.
My name is Senador. I lived in Denver for 12 years.
Vim para a América em busca de futuro melhor para mim e para minha família. E
I came to the United States looking for a better future for me and my family.
encontrei meu marido.
And here I met my husband,
Família.
created a family.
Temos 2 filhos lindos nascidos aqui.
We have 2 beautiful children that were born in this country.
Congrego nesta igreja também há 10 anos.
I'm a member of this church for 10 years.
Muito obrigada por estar aqui, nos prestigiando com sua presença.
Thank you for being here and giving us the honor of your presence.
Good afternoon, Senator. My name is Wilson Hernandez. I'm the president of the Ecuadorian Civic Center, and I'm also a businessman here in Denver. I'm here because, as we all know, you are our voice in Washington. So whatever you can tell us about things that are going on in Washington are very important for us. I'm concerned about many things, climate change, rebuilding America, but I'm mainly concerned about immigration because that's an issue that comes to us at the Ecuadorian Civic Center when we talk to different members of our community. We would like to know what's going to happen, what the possibilities of an immigration reform are. It's hard to understand why it's so difficult for our two parties to come to some kind of agreement and do something. Everybody says, the immigration system is broken. Well, if something is broken, the more normal thing to do is to fix it, right? So we would like to know what can happen in the next few years, and I'm sure that you can give us some answers. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, my name is Imu Barbosa. I live in Denver for 14 years. I'm here. I'm member of the Emmanuel Church. I'm here because 4 years ago, I think so, I have a policy in Denver who work some immigration. Everybody, a lot of people's gone. I am here today. What do you do about the immigration? The policy works about immigration in Denver.
Good afternoon. I'm Parag Kelkar and my wife Jyoti. We own a Kumar Math and Learning Center in Blumenthal, which is town nearby.
We are originally from India, have been residing in United States for over 20 years. So thank you, and we are here to learn more about what's going on in the community. We have students from different backgrounds, so it will be helpful for us to learn more about what's going on. Thank you.
Hi, Senador. Good afternoon. My name is Chris Fox, Radio Via Brazil channel.
I would love to take some questions. What I'll ask you to do is just come forward if you have questions. Let me just say, maybe while you're lining up to come forward, a lot of these topics are interrelated. Immigration, education, justice, the crisis that we face in our country. And I just want to make a couple of very quick points, bluntly. Number one, I am your U.S. Senator. I'm a Democrat. I'm in the minority. The Republicans control both houses of the United States Congress, and they control the presidency. So when I'm asked, what do you think the chances are, I can tell you I'm going to fight for immigration reform, but I can't promise that we're going to achieve it. In fact, I can't even promise that we can stop the worst things from happening. And the reason is quite simply that the majorities of both the House and the Senate are in the hands of a party that is supporting a president who, in my view, is verging and sometimes crossing the line of our constitutional protection. And the courts and the press are two bulwarks of our democracy. A free press and an independent judiciary are profoundly important, and they are going to help save our democracy. And I'm going to support them. I have supported them. Anybody who's followed what I've said during the hearings on Judge, now Justice Gorsuch, knows that I opposed him. I led the opposition because of the president's attack on the independent judiciary. When he calls someone on the federal bench a so-called judge, when he says that the Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit will be to blame if there are terrorist actions, that is irresponsible and reprehensible in my view. I have enormous respect for the office of president, but those actions undermine our democracy. Likewise, his attacks on the press, which has uncovered his own conflicts of interest and the interference of the Russians in our last election and the potential collusion between Trump associates and Russian interference. We face a looming constitutional crisis in this country, and I am pushing for a special prosecutor that would help uncover and investigate and possibly prosecute wherever the evidence leads, including to the White House. So what I can pledge you is I'm going to be fighting, but I can't tell you what the outcome is going to be. And I will be fighting against executive orders that involve stopping people from coming here based on religion, because that's a violation of the First Amendment, preference for one religion over another, but also deportation of the dreamers. I have been a staunch advocate of dreamers, and Connecticut has provided them with protection. I have been a staunch advocate of making sure that local law enforcement is not commandeered to enforce U.S. federal law, which is also against the Constitution. And these actions address immigration. On education, to cut our education budget, what could be more foolish? That's what the Trump budget would do. And that's what our Secretary of Education would do. I opposed her nomination because of her stance against, in my view, against public education. And I thank the parents and the teachers and the educators who are here today, because you are important to investing in our future. This is one sign of it. People talk a lot about national security. You know, right now in Connecticut, we build submarines at Electric Boat. We build plane engines for the Joint Strike Fighter, the next generation fighter aircraft at Pratt & Whitney. And we build helicopters at Sikorsky, not that far from here. They are going to have thousands of job openings. They do now have many job openings. The biggest challenge they have is finding people with the right skills to fill those jobs. That's education. That's part of our national defense, our national security. Education is as important to our national security as any other activity. Decisions have to be made locally. That's the tradition, and that's the ethos, and that's the great strength of our country, that school boards, local boards of education make decisions about curriculum and teacher qualification. But the federal government has to set certain kinds of standards, and it must provide financial support for teacher training. And for social and emotional learning, I added an amendment to the last reauthorization of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, so that there would be more training for teachers in social and emotional learning, because we know how important that is as a part of education. Not just reading, writing, and arithmetic. It's also how to deal with other people without conflict, and how to educate immigrants who come to this country and who have enormous talents and gifts and skills and energy, but we have to give them the opportunity, the educational opportunity, to realize their potential. So education, immigration, our national defense, the strength of our communities, they're all interrelated. And I don't have a solution. Part of my reason for being here is to listen. To listen to what you have to say. So, in the spirit of listening, let me take some of your questions or your comments.
Just one moment, Senator, before we begin. I just want to make sure I mention and thank also one of our event partners, Imigrantes do Brasil and My Focus Video Productions. They are the guys with the cameras, and they're actually going to be producing a video of this entire meeting that we're going to be sharing on social media and posting on Facebook and our website, so that other people can also see this conversation that you're having with these members of our community. And if I could open up with a question. And you sort of set the scene very well, so we understand the challenges that you're facing in Washington. You have Republicans for the majority in both houses. We're under new administration, but it's no news also to those in the immigrant community that are fighting this fight for immigration reform, that things also didn't happen under the Obama administration as well, especially under his first term, when he kind of had, the floodgates kind of open in the sense that things could have been done to benefit the immigrant population back then. So my question to you is, what can be done to build bridges with Republicans to make them understand this issue? As someone who identifies as a moderate Republican, it's something that frustrates me a lot about my party. I don't understand it because it actually, I think it's contrary to some of the values that they hold dear to their hearts when you're talking about the American culture. So what can be done for us to help the opposition on some of these issues to understand why we need to be moved? Because I feel that, we have to take the higher road. And if we know that there's people who are not going to sway our way, as an editor and a community activist, usually education is always the answer. There's something that they don't understand about these issues and how they impact communities like ours in Danbury. Danbury is a very unique place. We're in Western Connecticut. The makeup of our immigrant community is different than any other part of the state. We have a very small Puerto Rican community. We have mainly South and Central Americans. We have the highest concentration of undocumented and documented immigrants when you look by South and Central American. We're only losing towards Norwalk and Stanford, which are much bigger cities. We see the immigration issue almost as close as a border state. We had immigration come in Broadway Light in the past few weeks and get people off the street. We know for a fact in Danbury that immigration and customs enforcement agencies work directly with the state prosecutor's office, right in the Danbury Supreme Court, giving them a heads up about clients that are coming in because they have a criminal record, because they have a case open, and deporting those clients. Now, we understand if people committed a crime and have admitted guilt already to that crime, someone that already signed a deportation order in the past, that those people, even under the Obama administration, were people who were going to be deported. It was a matter of time. However, the optics of that in a community where most people are working, honest, trying to raise a family, and trying to do the best they can, is scary. I was undocumented for 12 years. I know what that felt like. That's a scary feeling. We have parents that are not sending their kids to school sometimes when these things happen. We have people that don't want to go out on the street and use the businesses in our own immigrant community, therefore causing a negative economic impact in our own local community because of these things. And it's all due to federal law and also federal actions. What frustrates me about immigration is that some of these things are happening are administrative changes. They're not laws you guys have to sign and sit down and negotiate. So I wonder, is there more that we can do also to directly the agency, change some administrative policies, not try to make a big hurrah about laws, but if we went on the back end and check out the backlog and question why the judges are being moved and try to move the pipeline along. When people talk about have undocumented immigrants get on the back of a line, there's no line. There is no line right now. Unless you're married an American citizen, if you have a business and you want to sponsor one of your workers, it's impossible. What line is there for people to get on? What bootstraps are there for us to pull ourselves up from when there is no line to get in? There was one for my family, and it saddens me to see other people who, like us, waited almost nearly 2 decades to be able to have a voice. So I know your heart is on this issue, but if you tell me what's the next step of the bill bridging, knowing that we have now 4 years of a lot of pushback, and we all can stand on our ground and state our passions politically and according to our partisanship, what can be done for us to bring people together so that our communities doesn't suffer anymore?
Well, the question, what can we do, is probably the most common question that I am asked on every one of these issues. Environment, immigration, infrastructure, tax reform. What can I do? Of course, you can contact your local officials. And on this issue, immigration, that is especially important. People who represent you in the state legislature, people who are your local officials. I say this wherever I go, grassroots democracy is where it begins. And never doubt that it has an impact. Even though you may not see it right away, it has an impact for you to write, to come to town meetings, to call, to use the internet, all of it. And to support advocacy organizations, whether it's on women's health care, where I've been a leading voice against efforts to cut rights of privacy and reproductive care, or on environment, where I have fought the climate deniers and cuts to environmental enforcement, or to immigration. There are local organizations, or organizations with local chapters, NARAL and Planned Parenthood, the National Resources Defense Council, the Environmental Defense Fund, advocacy organizations that fight for immigrant rights, legal organizations that take these cases. And I know about the fear that is so widely felt, and that is one of the reasons why I have questions, and I've led the effort to question the Department of Homeland Security under the previous administration, as well as this one. I've visited the border, towns along the border. I've seen those detention centers. I've watched unaccompanied minors. That is such an abstract term. Unaccompanied minors, you know what an unaccompanied minor is? It's a 7-year-old child who is barely up to the holster of a Border Patrol, Customs and Border Protection agent who has a gun, a firearm, and who is questioned, and who doesn't understand the question, because that child speaks only Spanish and is unrepresented. That's unworthy of our democracy. That's why I have advocated more legal representation, better treatment in those detention centers, educational facilities, but also here in Connecticut, I've introduced a law that would, in effect, codify, it would enact into statute the rules that the Department of Homeland Security says it is now imposing, so that government agents cannot go into churches, cannot go into schools, cannot go into courts, because victims of domestic violence are afraid to come forward. Their fear is they will be deported. And you probably have seen this in your legal work, that people who have information about potential lawbreaking are afraid to come forward because their fear is they will be arrested and then deported. And so, enacting into statute the protections of sensitive sites, as they're called, sensitive sites, schools, churches, courts, police stations, if necessary, when people come forward to report crimes. Now, if they have been convicted of serious felonies, for example, and there's an order for their deportation, there's a lot of agreement that they should be dealt with through deportation. But for the vast majority of people who simply are undocumented, this threat to all of our safety, because domestic violence, when it occurs, can have costs that break up families, as well as causing injuries. And on the topic of immigration reform, a major reform, as I have advocated, that I helped to write back in 2013, it was passed in the Senate in June 2013, would actually be good for our economy. It would create billions of dollars in additional product that our economy produces. It would help economic progress and job creation. Immigrants create jobs. They create businesses, which employ more people. And a major part of small businesses are owned by immigrants. So we need to see it as all of our self-interest. That's the kind of argument that people need to hear. And I believe, to answer your question, that our Republican colleagues will come around to this point of view. They did before. They did in June of 2013. John McCain and Lindsey Graham and Marco Rubio supported that bill. And it passed with bipartisan support. We need to recreate that bipartisan consensus.
Thank you so much, Senator. Now we have a question for us, Tara.
First, I'd like to say that this part of the state doesn't get many federal legislators to come and visit us, so I thank you for being here, and I look forward to you coming back to us. I actually have two questions. My first question is based around the economy and the viewpoint of both Democrats and Republicans. At a time where Democrats are trying to bridge the gap between ourselves and Republicans, we can all say that one thing is true. Although it was viewed differently, both Republicans and Democrats prior to the election and now know that there is something wrong within the national economy and that the current economic system is not set up in a way that fully supports the middle and lower classes. What are you doing to change that? What can I do as a Democrat to reach out to Republicans to help move us forward in this area? I really believe that a lot of our national issues, including immigration, are rooted in problems with the economy. Second, and I know this is more of a state's issue, but I would like you to take a moment to comment. The salaries offered for local representatives in our state are so low that it prevents many people from considering running for public office. This is especially true for women with young children. Since women, minorities, the middle class, and the lower class are deeply underrepresented, what can be done to resolve this?
Well, let me answer part of that question together. We are handicapping ourselves in our economy and creating a lot of inequality. lot of burdens for the middle class, as well as people who receive less income, with our present failure to require pay equity, equal pay for equal work, for women as well as men. I don't know the precise statistic, but the last time I checked, women receive 80%, 83%, a major difference for the same work as men. So pay equity, number one, at the national level. I've long advocated those kinds of measures. Number two, child care. This kind of program is an investment. If you look at the numbers, we actually gain more than $7 for every dollar invested in child care. And that doesn't count the better educational opportunities that will be available for young people who have adequate child care. You look at the New York Times, I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday, they have an article on child care that provides a lot of these numbers, shows how the economy would benefit from better child care. Other countries do better than we do. We need to regard it as an investment. And it would enable more women to be involved in the political process, to go to Hartford, to go to Washington. Increasing pay for those state or local representatives, that's going to have to be decided by our state and local officials. But I do think one area where we all need to get together is on campaign finance reform. Because what I see is the corrupting impact of money in our political system due to a Supreme Court decision called Citizens United, which unleashed a deluge of corporate money, dark money, undisclosed money. And more than the lack of pay at my level, federal level, I see the dark money being an impediment to more people getting involved, women and men. But I think, pay equity, child care, and protecting women's health care against the onslaught that we see, the assault in many states, restricted on women's health care. And it begins in Washington with the potential defunding of Planned Parenthood, which may come up this week. Planned Parenthood, as you know, provides mammograms and STD screening and all kinds of preventive medical care, primary care to women who need it, and men. And the Republicans want to, in effect, shut it down, which would be disgraceful. In Connecticut, we have protection for an effort to interfere with women who want to exercise their reproductive care rights, but many other states face state legislatures that are hostile, and they're imposing restrictions on abortion clinics or threatening to defund Planned Parenthood and taking other actions that will deprive women of their rights. And I will fight that effort. In fact, I've introduced legislation. It's called the Women's Health Protection Act. Women's Health Protection Act is supported by more than 30 of my colleagues. I can't promise it's going to be passed. Right now, the Republicans seem to be against it. Again, we're fighting a Republican majority. That's just the blunt fact of life. And finally, on the issue of, again, middle class, lower income, tax reform. Lowering taxes for the middle class, not for the folks in the 1%. And the Trump health care proposal would have actually provided tax breaks for that 1%, the upper wealth and income brackets in our country. That's one of the reasons why I'm so strong in the proposal. We need tax relief for the middle class. Closing the loopholes, the carried interest loophole for hedge funds that enable them to treat certain kinds of income as capital gains when it's really just ordinary income. The tax breaks for companies when they move their facilities overseas, they're still in the law, they can deduct those expenses. They can keep their profits abroad without paying any taxes on them, making our tax system fair, and bringing down the cost of medical care. Pharmaceutical drug costs, just to give you, have skyrocketed. But still, Medicare can't negotiate pharmaceutical drug prices. That impacts all of us, but most especially our seniors and middle class people. So there are very specific measures we can take. We need to fight for them. We need to generate the kind of grassroots support that you are showing by being here. Thank you.
Senator, I can ask you this. As a citizen of the United States, I'm always concerned about the problems that the two parties have when they try to reach an agreement on immigration reforms. What people are doing wrong, or what Washington is doing wrong, if we say that 60% of Americans do approve an immigration reform, why the two parties or why the politicians are not listening to the people? What can, I think Emanuela asked you, what can we do to find somebody who can listen to us in Washington, or to listen to American people?
You mean to bring people together?
Yeah, to bring them together. You see, in 2001, just before 9/11, I think they were very close to do something. Then many times Senator Kennedy and McCain were working to do something. And we heard, they are close. It's almost a deal that can pass, then everything dies again. Why is it so difficult? As a citizen, I would like to understand why it's so difficult to do something in an issue that's very important for the country. Thank you.
Well, we do work together more than you think. The press loves the fight, the conflict. The local level, when things positively happen, it isn't always covered. And the same is true, I'll give you a couple of examples. I worked with Senator McCain on a veteran suicide prevention initiative. It's called the Clay Hunt Veteran Suicide Prevention Network. We work together on it, bipartisan, provides more health care for post-traumatic stress treatment, research, outreach to families, support for them, and try to prevent suicides among our veterans. 20 veterans every day commit suicide. 20 men and women who served our country every day take their own life. And we went to the White House for the signing. We went together when Barack Obama was president. We stood there while he signed the measure. And in the audience was the wife of a friend of mine, Justin Elbridge. His wife Joanna was in the audience. He took his own life. This problem touches so many people, and we work together on this kind of measure. Veterans issues, national defense, even education, we are trying to work together, but it is hard because you've seen the Republican Freedom Caucus, it's called. Freedom Caucus are right-wing representatives. They're members of the Congress who believe, in effect, we ought to destroy the Affordable Care Act. Just tear it down, repeal it. Hard to reason with them. And my hope is that what you will do is talk to maybe some of my Republican colleagues, communicate with them, tell them what you think about immigration, education, healthcare, tax reform. You can make a difference. And you can also make a difference at the local level here. Talk to your Republican state representative about this issue, for example, some of these issues that were raised. The state has, I think, states will play more and more important roles because the federal government is doing that. So you can talk to your state representatives, your state senators, your local officials. And you can talk to heads of corporations or business people generally, because they have impact and influence on people of both parties. The business community could do a lot. a lot more.
Senator, as you know, I'm an advocate for immigrants in Hartford, the federal government. And what I've seen in the past probably 10 years is what appears to be a slowdown in the processing of cases under the guise of it's under supervisory review. We're doing background checks. We're talking about 8 years for some people. And meanwhile, they're living in fear because they could be deported at any time. Is there anything which your office can do to impact the Hartford USCIS or even the EOIR in Immigration Court in Hartford, which is now going through a slowdown since the judges are being reassigned, as well as the court staff and the U.S. trial attorneys? What we've heard recently in the past week is, for instance, Attorney Walla, who's a U.S. trial attorney, has left his job because he now wants to be reassigned to the border. We're hearing rumors that judges are thinking about taking retirement if available, so they don't have to be reassigned. Is there anything your office can do to try and get Hartford to move quicker on some of these cases, as well as prevent what's going to happen in Hartford, which is going to be a backlog of cases in the immigration court?
Well, that's an excellent question, and what I would like to do is talk to you about some of the points of friction or delay. I have pressed for more resources. I think, as you just described it, some of the shift in resources may be causing some of the delay, but it goes back for years, as you described it. It's not just a recent phenomenon. So maybe there are some procedural changes that can be done, and I'd like to talk to you about what we can do in Connecticut, in the Hartford area.
Do you have influence within Hartford immigration?
Do I have influence?
Well, what I mean is, it's not only for me, but
I would say yes.
I mean, it's not only for me. I mean, there's
we've had an impact before when we've intervened. As some of you may know, we do these kinds of cases. They're constituent service that we do. I'd like to look at the overall structure.
There's a systemic problem. The bar is probably about 18 of us, and we're all running the same issues. So it's not just my cases.
It's not only Connecticut. It's the whole country. There aren't enough resources, and the cuts that are planned in some elements of the system, even though the numbers of border agents and customs and border protective agents may be increased. We need to make sure the system as a whole has sufficient resources. So I'd be glad to talk about that.
Yeah, what's interesting is I also do work in immigration in New York City, and their process seems to be a lot more streamlined than in Connecticut. So I think it's almost office by office or state by state.
Well, before I leave, I'd like to get your information and we can get back in touch.
Tracy?
Hi, Senator. Again, just shifting the topic quickly. I am representing the Danbury Prospect Charter School currently before review. And I just wanted to get your position. I just wanted to get your position on the issue of charter schools, notwithstanding what we know at the federal level. Connecticut has a law that would prevent a lot of the shenanigans that we hear in terms of Mr. Boyd. That said,
which law is that?
the Connecticut charter school law. Danbury is supposed to make history with the first K-12 IB-themed public charter school. It'll be the first in the state, and it'll be located here in Danbury, open and free, public to all. And I just wanted to get your take on that, and wonder if we could get a little bit of time to talk about that application.
I'm not sure I understand the question. You want to know what I think about the state law?
About the charter school, just charter schools in general.
Well, I think that magnitude schools, charter schools can play a very constructive role. I'm not, at this point, here to talk about state laws on charter schools. I don't know which ones you may have in mind. I have to know the merits of each one and really look at the law.
Hi, Senator and Soltis. My question is about your comments previously at the beginning. You had mentioned adequate due process for immigrants. What would that look like to you?
Well, I can tell you what it would look like at a minimum. Due process would involve, I mentioned, the issue of fairness in the deportation process. We should look at what rights are accorded before people are detained or deported, what representation they receive, what standards are applied. This area is complex, but I would go back to some of the changes we made in the proposal that was passed by the Congress in 2013, which made some due process reform and provided more resources for border security. Those resources are appropriate, but also, for example, in the H-1B visa system, there are abuses and failings in the way those visas are given out, the checks into whether or not people coming in on H-1B visas are replacing American workers, the rights that they have when they're here, how they may be coerced or paid less than they should be. There are a variety of different areas. I'm going to have to leave. Thank you everyone for your being here today. I've learned a lot and really glad that we went around the room and got everyone to talk about what's on your minds. And thank you so much for the questions. Very intelligent and insightful questions, and they've given me more to think about. Thank you all for being here today.
Taline Carvalho, qual a sua opinião sobre a reunião de hoje?
Olha, é sempre bom ter representantes do Estado, do Senado, local aqui com a gente. Eu acho que teve bastante perguntas interessantes, as respostas nem tanto. Eu acho que assim, ele toma muito cuidado no falar. Então, eu acredito que as respostas não foram dadas concretas. Né? Talvez porque eu não tenha... Eu esperava outra coisa. Eu esperava que ele dissesse, não, a gente está em cima, a gente já tem um bill para a reforma da imigração, para o healthcare, para a educação, e parece que está tudo muito no ar ainda. Então, esse é o que eu tirei de hoje.
Essa é a Isabela Coelho, filha do Pedro Coelho. O Pedro é um comerciante muito conhecido na comunidade brasileira e a Isabela é a filha dele. Ela é filha de imigrantes e nasceu aqui nos Estados Unidos. Isabela, qual a sua opinião sobre a reunião de hoje?
Eu penso que é muito importante ter essas conversas com os políticos que têm o poder, que pode nos ajudar. Porque sim, o poder da voz é importante, mas o poder da lei é mais. Então eu acho que é muito importante ter essa conversa.
E para você, Pedro, você como comerciante está lidando diretamente com todos os imigrantes, como você sentiu a fala do senador hoje?
Bem, foi importante. Ele colocou de maneira bem clara a dificuldade, né, das leis atuais para com os imigrantes. A aprovação de uma lei pró-imigrante está muito difícil, porém não é impossível. E ele enfatizou também que isso começa no sistema local, dentro da nossa comunidade, com a participação da comunidade. De que forma? Né, a gente escrevendo para os senadores que nos representam, inclusive os republicanos, para que eles possam trabalhar dentro de uma conexão, né, com os que são pró-reforma migratória. Então, achei de muita importância, porque é um momento difícil para nós imigrantes.
O Chris Fox também é muito conhecido de toda a comunidade brasileira, principalmente aqui em Danbury. Ele é da rádio Via Brasil Channel e esteve aqui hoje também prestigiando esse momento importante para a nossa comunidade. E aí, como que você percebeu esse momento?
Olha, eu acho que o momento é incrível, eu acho que a importância de ter um senador da República, né, vindo até a nossa comunidade, a tranquilizar, a trazer informação, né, o que ele veio fazer, a organização do Tribuna, com parceria de vocês, né, do Imigrantes. Eu acho que é incrível, eu acho que é muito importante e que agora isso possa ser propagado muito através da comunidade para quem não pôde estar aqui, para que possa ouvir o que o senador falou, as informações e ficar bem informado e ficar mais tranquilo também.